We all learned how to count, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about how that actually happens? It turns out there's a pretty incredible strategy behind even the simplest math lessons. Today, we're going to deconstruct how teachers build mathematical minds literally from the ground up. So let's start with a question. What does the number 36 times really mean? For us adults, the answer is just instant. 36 is 36. But think about it from a child's perspective. It's not just a 3 and a 6 sitting next to each other. It's a totally abstract idea, a quantity, and it has to be taught very carefully. So how in the world do you make an idea like this real?
Well, that's the secret code we're going to crack today. We're going to follow the blueprint from an actual classroom lesson plan to see how teachers take these abstract symbols and turn them into something kids can actually understand. It's like we're watching them teach a new generation the fundamental language of numbers.
Okay, so it all starts with a story. The teacher might say something like, "You are helping set up flags for UAE National Day. There are 3 boxes with 10 flags in each and 6 single flags." All of a sudden, 36 isn't just some random number on a page. No, now it's a real-world problem about flags and boxes and a big celebration. And that right there, that's the first spark of genius. This is the first masterstroke of modern teaching. You have to make the abstract relevant. You can't just throw concepts at a kid and hope they stick. You've got to connect those ideas to their world, to things they already know, things they actually care about. And if you look at these lesson plans, which were designed for students in the United Arab Emirates, they're just packed with these local touchstones. They use the pride of National Day to talk about groups of 10. And they use familiar images of local animals, like camels, to frame concepts and even for self-assessment. It's just a brilliant way to make learning feel personal. This is really the core principle in action. You build a bridge from something familiar, like a holiday or an animal they see, to something completely new and unknown, like the concept of place value. When you do that, you unlock a child's natural curiosity. You make them want to cross that bridge to see what's on the other side. All right, so you've hooked them. You've got their attention. But now comes the real challenge. How do you take an invisible idea like place value and make it something a child can actually see, hold, and, play with? Okay, first things first, let's be super clear about what we're talking about here. Place value is the fundamental rule of our entire number system. It's basically the grammar of math. It means a digit's value changes depending on where it sits. That 3 and 36 isn't a 3, it's a 30. This is the big idea, and it is absolutely crucial. So to make this idea something you can actually see, teachers bring out this incredibly simple but powerful tool, the place value chart. You can think of it like a game board for building numbers. It literally creates a physical space for tens and a whole separate one for ones. And of course, every game board needs pieces, right? Well, in this case, the pieces are physical building blocks. A long rod represents a bundle of 10, and a little single cube represents a 1. These objects give a physical, tangible meaning to these otherwise abstract ideas. And here's where the magic happens. A teacher says a number, let's say 64. A student then physically takes 6 of those 10 blocks and puts them in the tens column, and then 4 of the little 1 cubes in the ones column. And just like that, the abstract number 64 becomes this concrete, visible, and totally understandable collection of objects. Okay, but here's where things get really, really clever. Not every kid in a classroom learns at the same speed. So how do you teach one big concept to a room full of students who are all at different levels? The answer is something called differentiation. See, the lesson isn't just one single path that everyone has to walk down. It's more like a landscape with multiple trails to the top. Teachers design a whole series of tasks, from the very basic to the highly advanced. This lets every single student engage with the material at a level that actually challenges them. It's basically personalized learning, but for a whole classroom. For some kids, the journey starts right here, at the bronze level. This is all about building that solid foundation. The goal here is just basic recognition and getting the hang of actually writing the number and the word. Then you've got the next step up, the silver task. Now, students are moving on from just tracing. They're actively constructing the numbers themselves, using little counters. They're applying the concept now, not just recognizing it. Now, when we get to the gold level, things get a little more complex. Students have to match a number to a quantity, but now they're using different kinds of tools, both counters and those base 10 blocks. This forces them to see that the same number can be represented in different ways, which is a huge step for flexible thinking.
And finally, you get to the top, the platinum task. This is the big one. This pushes beyond just finding the one right answer and asks students to think creatively. How many different ways can you show the number 5 or 17? This is where that true number fluency really starts to click.
And get this, the genius doesn't even stop there. The students are also taught how to assess their own understanding. Using these fun, culturally relevant labels like learning lizard or confident camel, they learn to identify where they are on their learning journey. It empowers them to know when to ask for help or even when they're ready to help someone else. Okay, so we've taken apart the how, right? We've seen the cultural connections, the hands-on tools, the different levels of challenge. But let's take a step back and ask the biggest question of all. Why? Why does all of this matter so much? What's amazing is that the lesson plan itself asks the kids this exact question. It's not just about doing the work, it's about thinking about why they're doing it. So let's ask it too. Why do we use these tools? What is the ultimate point of all this? And here's the answer. The bottom line is, place value isn't just one little concept. It's kind of everything. You literally cannot add, subtract, multiply, or divide without a deep, intuitive grasp of it. It's the key that unlocks decimals and huge numbers. It's the bedrock of financial literacy. And even more than that, it teaches a way of thinking, organized, systematic, and logical. So we've just peeled back the curtain on this incredibly detailed, really thoughtful process of teaching a child the language of numbers. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple things that we all do every day, like reading a sentence or telling time, or even tying our shoes, are built on a foundation of genius-level teaching that we've just completely forgotten?